Blessings, BookTube, Tag Tuesday. Here is a mashup of genre tags, genre-related tags. I'm going to answer a couple questions from each of the five, which includes classics, fantasy, poetry. Couldn't find any for plays or theater. Cozy, which is the one I used for mysteries since I mainly only read cozies, and sci-fi. Okay, so starting with classics, my favorite. This is from At Alice and the Great Bookshelf, and the original was from a non-booktube source. Question number two, favorite time period to read about? My favorite time period to read about is the Enlightenment. I love the French era of the philosophes, the honnêtes hommes, their wide interests outside of literature and within literature, the importance of both encyclopedia and dialogue, the engagement with the exotic, etc., etc. Humor, of course, and the short story. Right. So, an underhyped classic you'd recommend to everyone. For this one, I think I'm going to say, um, which one do I want to elevate? I've mentioned quite a few now that don't get the love that they should. Uh, I'll say the U.S., for some reason, the U.S. Nobel laureates that get read, I mean, I know why the ones that get read, Steinbeck, Morrison, Faulkner, Hemingway, um, are really like a quantum leap from the other ones who don't seem to really get read much at all. I maybe saw Bellows getting read somewhere in New York, but Sinclair Lewis is super fun. Satire, O'Neill, the playwright. I guess he's somewhat well known in plays, but I'll say check out Saul Bellow. You can start with a little novella of his called Dangling Man. See if you like that. If you like his voice is in all of his works pretty strongly. People say there's a sameness to his works, but that's not really true because they're philosophical books, so their ideas are totally different. It's just that they're similarly philosophical, I would say. Who else is in there that's neglected from the American laureates? I'm sure there's a couple more there I should be lifting up, but there you go. Let's jump to fantasy. Okay, so now this one is from Elliot Brooks at Elliot Brooks. Didn't mention the original, so not sure where he got it. They got it, excuse me. Don't know their pronouns. Okay, number two, what kind of fantastical being would you want to be? I think I'd like to be maybe an ant. I'd love to be some kind of tree. Or Yaksha, which is a kind of Buddhist demigodish sort of thing, Titan-esque, maybe. Some are good, some are bad. I'd be a good one. They fly around. I like flying. They could be a tree one, something like that. Three, for your everyday life, would you rather have magical powers or a magical pet? Well, if I had the patience of Bodhidharma, um, I would love, or I suppose if Monkey had the dedication towards Ram, if I were Ram, then I would like Monkey because I mean, what a crazy pet. He's amazing. Um, from Journey to the West or from Ramayana, he's always great. Okay, poetry. This is from at How to Art. I believe he's the originator, maybe? I believe so. Number three, what is your favorite school movement in poetry? Probably with respect to, the romantic poets and the Parnassians and the wonderful French poets that came before, I think I'd have to still go with symbolism. What we're talking Mallarmé, we're talking Verlaine, Rimbaud, we're talking Baudelaire, of course. And as much as I love the sort of surrealism, the Dada, Oulipo that followed, I think I'd still have to go with symbolism. Who do I think has advanced poetry the most? I'm going to say Koyate. Why Koyate? Because I can actually give a name. So the quintessential name in a Manding tradition of West Africa that has sort of castes associated with names and things of that nature, and the joking cousins, which I think I'm cousinage system, which I might have talked about on here before. Um, the ones that are very often griots, or griots are very often cuyates. That's their last name. So yeah, you think of the griot telling you about Sujata, the Lion King. I just wanted to lift up like a traditional epic poet reciter, and so scald, whichever from what different traditions, the Celtic ones, the Nordic ones. I thought, oh, let's pick Koyate from Africa, West Africa. Okay, next genre is litfic. This is from at Ink and Paper Blog, and the originator is at Jasmine Reads. Oh, number one this time. How do you define literary fiction? Um, I monstered the two. You remember those Flip Monster books? The two um, definitions, straight up, internet definitions for fiction and for literary. So literary is something of the kind valued for quality of form, and fiction is an invented or imaginary prose. So this becomes an invented or imaginary prose, especially of the kind valued for quality of form. Now, I found that really interesting. The number one thing that literary fiction is usually opposed, is distinguished from, is plot-driven stuff. But the questions in this tag that were highlighted for form, in my definition, included character, style, structure, social theme, human condition, and even hybrid genre. So there you go. That's the best I can do for a definition. Now, next is, what genre do you wish was mixed with literary fiction more? Oh, humor. Humor. Please, can we have more humor? Less trauma. I do not know why, especially international translated fiction. Every literary fiction has to be so trauma-based. Yes, life has traumas, but it also has a lot of humor. So more of that, please. Okay, cozy mystery. So this is from at Books with My Mary, and the originator. When I clicked through to see who the originator was, their channel is gone, so you can't trace it back. Sorry about that. Number 4. Which cozy would you pick to move to the town it takes place in? I'm torn. My mind originally jumped to McCall Smith's Gaborone, Botswana, where the number one ladies detective agencies of Mama Precios Remotsways little PI agency is set. But that's really more of a city, and it's also a real place. So I thought, actually, to enter the spirit of this more, I'd go for MC Beaton's location for the Hamish Macbeth mysteries, which is Loch Dubh. Loch Dubh, I hope I said that correctly. Little Scottish town, a lot of fun. Those are great. He's the local constable up there, and great little village mysteries there, great characters. Which cozy would you pick to dress and act like the main character? Oh, that's easy also. I'd like to be Jim Chi from the Tony Hillerman mysteries. Um, Tony Hillerman is not a Navajo, but has been adopted by the Navajo Nation. So much do they respect his mysteries that are set there. Navajo Nation, as you may know, has as huge, it's as big as many U.S. states, has its own police force. And Jim Chi is a policeman with them, and also training to be a Yatali, a singer. They call them singers. So a shaman, you might say, or that sort of thing, healer. And so how fascinating would that be? He's just really got a fascinating life. not always happy in his personal life. So I guess I should have thought more about that. But in terms of the cultural learnings for a culture nerd like me, to be able to be Jim Chi would be amazing. Okay, so sci-fi. This is from at Moe's Reads, and the original is from something outside of BookTube. Two, what is your favorite vintage sci-fi book? I still got to go with Hot House by Brian Aldiss. I believe I picked this once before in the tag, but it is my favorite. I really prefer sort of biological um, sci-fi, so seeing how things are shaped ecologically, biologically, than to really hard tech ones. Um, that's just my preference, and this is that. The moon is trapped by giant weeds to the earth and holds the earth steady, and therefore there's like a dark side of the earth, and then there's certain creatures who live on the great tree, climbing up and down. And there's others who, ride the solar winds to the moon, and then there's what else? These morel mushrooms that like attach to your head and sort of take over, but make you like super strong and smart, but sort of use you to shape a new society. Really great stuff. Check it out. How many vintage sci-fi books have I read in the last year? That's pretty easy. I'd say for the last couple years, I've been on one or two. The reason for that is my baggage when I travel abroad now. I used to use all my baggage for books, and now I've reached the size of clothes that I can't always buy abroad. I have to waste my baggage on clothes, which means I can only bring a few books since I travel with only a carry-on. So those would have been small paperbacks, dime novels, as we used to call them. So I'm sure I brought a couple paperbacks with me, mystery or sci-fi or fantasy, from when I came from New Mexico, COVID land. But I was in Mexico before here, so I might have already read those. So it might have been 1 or 0, but I'm sure I could find some here if I really, really tried. But what I really want to talk about is during COVID years. So in probably, let's say, pre-1989, right, I read tons of sci-fi books, vintage sci-fi books, because that's pretty much all I read. No, that's not true. I read everything, but that's what I had. I had a lot of access to a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, and I was sort of in that world, which you know what it is when you're in that world. It's quite a world, and I've been out of it ever since. And so from '89 to COVID, I read very few. Again, probably 1 or 2 a year. Then, come COVID, I read dozens every year. Why? The little bookstore next to my mom's post office, closest to my mom's house, Laura's, she put out, I think, like all her old dime novels, all the old sci-fi, fantasy, mystery. And I was just taking them back to my house by the yard. I mean, as many as I could carry every time I went to my mom's. And so I had hundreds of these wonderful dime novels. And so discovered or rediscovered all these great old authors. And it was just a treasure and a boon and a real positive of COVID time. And we really need to bring back that format. I mean, everyone's got a phone in their pocket. They all should have a book in their pocket, these little dime novels. They were fun to read. They were cheap. They were everywhere. They were buzzing. And we miss that. We do miss that. Okay, so I did I was still trying to do my Sunday shout-outs. I did one on the books without barcodes. That's all she reads, not all, but that's what her channel is all about. So if you can find my video on her, don't remember her channel now, I'll put it down in the notes. Then you could check out her great channel about vintage sci-fi. All right, so that's a mashup of that I'm going to be doing now with these old tags, and then I take just a few questions from each one so I could cherry pick the best tags and the best questions. Let me know what you think of the format. I don't know whether to tag people with it or not. I feel like I'm still honoring the original creators. Don't think anyone would be bothered to be referenced again for their tags that they probably loved. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it, and I've got many more. So I hope you like them.